Imagine a world where breath hung in the air like mist, where colossal giants roamed, their footsteps shaking the frozen ground. What if I told you this wasn't a fantasy, but Earth's very own past? Hidden beneath layers of time and ice lies a secret chapter of our planet's story. A chapter so extreme it reshaped continents and gave birth to magnificent beasts. Welcome to the Ice Age. Welcome to the Age of Mammoths. Hi, this is the Wonder Book, where we dive into nature's most incredible stories. Today, we're journeying back tens of thousands of years to a world gripped by ice, where giant beasts like the woolly mammoth ruled the lands, and life found extraordinary ways to adapt. Get ready for a frosty adventure through Earth's deep past. The Ice Age wasn't just a cold spell. It was an era that defined the planet. In geological terms, an ice age is a long period when Earth's temperature drops dramatically and massive ice sheets spread across continents. The most recent one, the Pleistocene Ice Age, began around 2.6 million years ago and lasted until about 11,700 years ago. During this time, towering glaciers covered large parts of North America, Europe, and Asia. Sea levels dropped more than 100 meters, revealing vast stretches of land that connected continents, like the famous land bridge between Siberia and Alaska. Imagine walking from Asia to America across an endless plain of frost and wind. The world was harsh but alive. Gigantic beasts dominated these frozen landscapes, evolving to survive in one of Earth's most extreme climates. Among them was the undisputed king of the cold, the woolly mammoth. Standing more than 3 meters tall and weighing up to 6 tons, this shaggy-haired giant looked like a storybook creature. Yet it was real. Its long, curved tusks could grow over 4 meters in length, helping it dig through thick snow to uncover buried grasses. Thick fur, layers of insulating fat, and small ears kept it warm in freezing winds. Everything about its design whispered, "Survivor." The mammoth's world was called the Mammoth Steppe, a vast, treeless grassland stretching from Spain to Canada. It was cold, but surprisingly rich in life. Hardy grasses and herbs blanketed the land, feeding herds of mammoths, bison, woolly rhinoceroses, and giant deer. Saber-toothed cats and cave lions prowled, hunting these giants. And humans were there too, our ancestors, crafty, curious, and determined. They hunted mammoths for meat, carved tools from their bones, and used tusks to build shelters. Mammoths weren't just animals. They were part of human survival and human imagination. Living through the Ice Age was no small feat. The cold was relentless. Winters were long, summers short, and storms brutal. But the mammoths thrived because they were perfectly adapted. They grazed in herds, migrating great distances to find food, just like modern elephants. Their tusks acted like snow shovels, clearing frozen ground to reach the plants beneath. Their thick coats were made of 2 layers, a dense underwool and a long outer layer that kept the wind and frost away. Beneath that, a fatty hump stored energy, much like a camel's. Everything about them was built for endurance. And then there were humans, tough, resourceful, and increasingly intelligent. They lived alongside mammoths, following their herds, studying their movements. Cave paintings in Europe, tens of thousands of years old, show mammoths drawn with incredible accuracy. To early humans, these giants were both a food source and a symbol of power. Mammoth bones formed the walls of huts. Tusks were carved into tools and art. Entire human cultures were shaped by these creatures, but nothing lasts forever. Around 20,000 years ago, the world began to change again. The Ice Age reached its peak, and then slowly the Earth began to warm. The glaciers started to retreat. Rivers swelled, oceans rose, and forests spread where once there had been open grassland. The mammoth steppe began to shrink, replaced by birch and pine forests that offered little for grazers to eat. Mammoth herds grew smaller and more isolated. The world that had favored them for millions of years was disappearing. At the same time, humans were thriving. Populations expanded. Hunting tools became more sophisticated, and the pressure on remaining mammoth populations grew. It was a deadly combination: shrinking habitat, changing climate, and increasing human hunting. One by one, the mammoth herds vanished. By around 10,000 years ago, mammoths were gone from most of the Earth. A few small groups managed to survive on remote islands in the Arctic, Wrangel Island and St. Paul Island, where they lingered for a few thousand more years. The last known mammoths died out only about 4,000 years ago, around the same time as the building of the Egyptian pyramids. It's almost poetic, isn't it? While humans were carving their place into history, the last of the Ice Age giants were quietly fading into memory. The extinction of the mammoth didn't just mark the end of a species, it changed ecosystems. The vast grasslands once kept open by mammoth grazing turned into mossy tundra and forests. Without these ecosystem engineers, even the landscape itself evolved. But what lessons can we take from their story today? The first is how deeply climate change can shape life on Earth. The mammoths were masters of the cold, yet they couldn't survive the warming that followed. Now, thousands of years later, our planet is warming again, only much faster. The same forces that once reshaped continents and wiped out giant beasts are stirring once more, this time driven by human activity. The story of the mammoth is not just a tale of the past, it's a warning for the future. Second, their disappearance reminds us how fragile balance can be. Mammoths were central to their environment. When they vanished, the ripple effects transformed entire ecosystems. Today, we see similar patterns when keystone species, like elephants, wolves, or whales, are lost. Nature is a web, and when one strand breaks, the rest begins to tremble. Third, it connects us to our own story. The relationship between humans and mammoths shows how early people adapted, innovated, and thrived in one of the harshest environments imaginable. It's a story of resilience, of survival against the odds. We are here because our ancestors learned to live with giants. And even now, the mammoth continues to capture our imagination. Scientists have found frozen mammoth carcasses in Siberian permafrost, so perfectly preserved that their hair and internal organs remain intact. Some even still have the grass they were eating inside their stomachs, frozen in time. Each discovery gives us new clues about how they lived, what they ate, and how they died. There's another incredible fact. The mammoth's DNA has been sequenced, giving us a genetic map of how it adapted to the cold. Certain genes helped grow long hair, build fat stores, and regulate temperature. This has even led some scientists to ask a bold question. Could we bring mammoths back? Through genetic engineering, researchers are exploring ways to insert mammoth genes into modern elephants, essentially trying to resurrect a cold-tolerant hybrid. It's controversial, but it shows just how much fascination these creatures still hold. The mammoth has become a symbol of lost wilderness, of a time when nature was vast, dangerous, and full of wonder. It represents everything powerful and mysterious about our planet's past. But more than that, it reminds us that extinction is real. Once the Earth shook under the footsteps of giants. Now all that remains are bones buried in ice and the stories we tell. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture the world 20,000 years ago. The wind howls across an endless white plain. A herd of woolly mammoths trudges through snow, their breath turning to frost in the air. Calves walk close beside their mothers, tusks scraping the frozen earth. The ground trembles as they move, majestic, ancient, alive. This was their world, and though it's gone, its echoes remain all around us, in fossils, in legends, in the DNA of living elephants. Every time we look at an elephant today, we're seeing the legacy of the mammoth. They're not just relatives, they're living links to an age when the world was frozen and life was both brutal and beautiful. Understanding that connection helps us see that nature's story is continuous and we are still part of it. So, what can the Age of Mammoths teach us? That life adapts. That even in the harshest climates, creatures find ways to survive. That nothing in nature lasts forever, but everything leaves its mark. And perhaps most importantly, that our actions, whether ancient or modern, shape the fate of the world we share. Thank you for joining me on this journey into Earth's icy past and the Age of Mammoths. If you enjoyed exploring this frozen world, please hit the like button, subscribe to the Wonder Book Tales, and ring the notification bell so you never miss a new story. I'd love to hear from you. What surprised you most about the woolly mammoth? Do you think we should bring them back? Or let them rest in history? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're ready for another adventure, check out our next video where we explore another forgotten chapter of nature's epic tale. Until next time, keep wondering, stay curious, and remember, every fossil, every story, every creature is a page in the great book of life.